My name is Isabelle. I am 34 years old. My life has been a long search for true love, but it has often brought me much sadness. I tried to build a happy home 2 times. Both times, my dreams of a loving life did not come true. It is hard for me to talk about this, and I do not feel proud of the past, but it is my true story. I first married when I was 25 years old. His name was Daniel. He had a very kind smile, and his voice was always soft and gentle. We met by chance at a local cafe. I was sitting there reading a book, lost in its pages. He came to my table and asked me about the book. From that moment, we began to talk. We spoke for a very long time that day, sharing many ideas. He made me feel truly special, as if he listened to every single word I said with great care. After only a few months, we felt very close, like 2 parts of one soul. We quickly decided to get married. Our wedding day was small, just close family and friends. But in my heart, I felt such great hope. I truly believed this was the start of my forever happy life. We began our life together with big dreams. For a while, everything felt new and very good. We often spent our evenings planning our future, talking about places we would go and things we would do. Daniel often surprised me by bringing fresh flowers home. I loved to cook his favorite meals, and we would eat together, talking about our day. I felt very safe and deeply loved. I thought, this is it. This is what real happiness feels like. But slowly, very slowly, the bright, happy feelings began to fade, like colors losing their shine. Daniel became very busy with his work. His job started to take more and more of his time. When he was home, he was often tired, too tired to talk or share. He would sit on the sofa, looking at his phone, even when I was sitting right next to him. I tried to talk to him about my day, about the small things that happened, but his answers became shorter and shorter. He stopped asking me about my life, about how I felt, or what I thought. The house began to feel quiet, a deep, silent quiet, even when we were both there. It was as if I was living with a kind stranger, not my husband. I often waited for him to look at me, truly look into my eyes, or to ask me something important about us. But he did not. He seemed to live in his own world. One evening, I felt brave and placed my hand gently on his arm. I asked him, "Are we still happy together, Daniel?" He looked at me for a moment, then looked away. He only said, "Of course, Isabelle. Don't worry so much." But I did worry. My heart felt heavy, like a stone in my chest. The love I felt for him, which was once so bright, started to become a quiet, constant pain. After 3 long years, I knew I could not live in that silent sadness anymore. I had to leave. It was the hardest choice I had ever made, and it hurt very much. I moved to a small flat near the edge of the city. It was empty at first, with only a few things. I sat on the floor on that first night, surrounded by moving boxes. I felt a big, heavy sadness about what was lost, but also a small, hopeful bit of freedom. For the first time in a very long time, I could truly hear my own thoughts. The quiet in the flat was different. It was my quiet, not his. I spent a whole year just with myself, learning to be alone. I started painting pictures, colors I had never used before. I took long walks in new parts of the city. I tried very hard to understand what I truly needed in life and what love should feel like. I made a promise to myself. Next time, Isabelle, you will listen to your heart more carefully. You will not rush. You will wait for a love that truly stays. Then, a few years later, I met another man. His name was Thomas. He was older than Daniel, and he had a very calm way of speaking. He was very organized and always on time for our meetings. We met at a community event in the park. He was helping with the music, playing soft songs on a guitar. We started talking about different countries and about places we both dreamed of seeing one day. He made me feel very calm and safe, like a quiet harbor. He never rushed me into anything, always taking things slowly. I thought, this is truly different. This is peace. This is the quiet I want. After 1 year of getting to know each other, we decided to marry. Our wedding was simple and beautiful, held in a small garden filled with flowers. I truly believed with all my heart that this was my new start, my second chance at lasting happiness. I thought I had learned so much from my past mistakes, but after only some months, the same cold feeling, the same distance, slowly began to return. Thomas was kind, always polite, but he was also very closed off. He spent many, many hours working alone in his study. When he came out, he seemed distant, his mind still far away. I tried hard to share my day with him, to tell him about small things that made me smile or feel sad. He would nod, but his eyes were not truly looking at me. They seemed to look through me. He never spoke about his own feelings or what was truly on his mind. If I felt sad and tried to talk about it, he would often say, "Everything is fine, Isabelle. Don't think so much about small things." This line made my heart hurt deeply. It was the same quiet sadness from my first marriage, the same words that made me feel small and wrong. I was in a beautiful home, but I felt very, very alone inside it. The house was big, but it truly felt empty. I stopped making dinner for 2 people. It felt wrong to cook for someone who was never truly there. I stopped waiting up for him at night. It felt useless to hope for a late-night talk. I started doing many things just for myself again. I went to the cinema alone, watching movies that made me think. I took long walks in the rain, letting the drops fall on my face. I felt a deep, heavy tiredness, not just in my body, but in my soul. It was like carrying a very heavy stone all the time. I gave my love, my time, my care, but it felt like there was no space for it to live or grow. I was married, yes, but I truly felt like a single person living in a quiet house. One morning, I woke up early and looked at Thomas sleeping beside me. He looked peaceful, very peaceful, lost in his dreams. But I knew in my heart that I could not stay in a life where I felt invisible. We had been married for 2 long years, and the distance between us was like a high, strong wall. I often asked him, "Do you love me, Thomas?" He would always answer, "I am here, aren't I? I provide for us." But being here was not the same as being truly present with me, truly connected. One Sunday, feeling very lost, I decided to visit my old friend Sophia. We had not seen each other in a while. We sat in her bright kitchen, and she made us tea. She looked at me, really looked, and saw my sadness right away. She said, "Your eyes look so tired, Isabelle." I told her everything. I told her about Daniel and the quiet ending, and then I told her about Thomas and how I felt the same loneliness in this marriage too. I told her how I felt lost in my own home. She listened without saying a single word, just holding my hand softly. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Isabelle, you try very hard to give love, but love needs 2 people to try. It needs 2 people to give back." Her words stayed in my head like a clear song. All that night, I thought only about them. You try very hard, but love needs 2 people to try. It was so true. I always gave my very best. I gave my time, my care, and all my love. But what did I get back in return? Quiet evenings, short, cold words, and a deep feeling of being alone. I started taking long walks every morning in the park near Sophia's house. I needed the fresh air. I needed time to think clearly. The park was quiet and green. I liked to sit on a bench and watch the trees sway gently in the wind. I watched people walk their happy dogs. I watched children run and play, their laughter bright. I loved the sound of their laughter. It made me feel human again. One day, I saw an old couple in the park. They walked slowly, side by side, their hands gently touching. The man held the woman's hand, and she smiled at him with such warmth. He looked at her with pure love in his eyes. A tear fell down my cheek. I wanted that. Just simple love, real love, that you could see and feel. That evening, Thomas came home earlier than usual. I was surprised. I said, "You're home before dinner." He just nodded and said, Yes, I'm tired. I asked, "Can we talk for a moment, Thomas?" He said, "Not now, Isabelle. I have a bad headache." Then he went straight to the bedroom. I stood alone in the kitchen, looking at the dinner I had made. I quietly turned off the stove. I felt very small in that moment, like nothing. My feelings had no voice in that house. My heart had no place to rest. A few days later, I tried one more time to speak to him. "Thomas," I said, "we live in the same house, but we do not talk. We do not laugh. We are like two separate people living in one space, not one life together." He looked at me, his eyes empty of understanding. He said, "What do you want from me, Isabelle? What is wrong?" I said, "I want to feel loved, truly loved." He answered, "Love is not always loud. It is not always big words." Then he left the room again, leaving me standing alone. After that day, I stopped asking. I stopped waiting. I stopped hoping for a change. I started making food just for myself. I watched movies alone in the living room. I went to the park alone. I started reading many books again. I also started writing small thoughts and feelings in my phone. I wanted to find my own voice again, the voice I had lost. One day, Sophia came to visit me at my house. She looked around the quiet rooms. "It feels so very quiet here," she said softly. I told her, "Yes, Sophia, it is always quiet now." She looked into my eyes with kindness and asked, "Do you truly want to stay in this life, Isabelle? This quiet, lonely life?" I looked at her and I said, "I don't know." I truly did not know the answer. I was tired of feeling broken. I was tired of hoping for something that never came. I was tired of starting over. But I also did not want to stay in a place where love did not truly live. Thomas did not seem to notice the big changes in me, or maybe he noticed but did not care. I do not know. He ate his food. He went to work. He came home and sat with his phone just like before. I stopped trying to speak to him. I had no more words left inside me to say. One morning, I looked in the mirror at my own face. My face looked older than my years. My eyes held a deep, old sadness. I spoke to myself very quietly. "You are still young, Isabelle. You still have time to live. Do not waste it in this silence." That day, I packed a very small bag with just a few clothes. I left the house very quietly. I went straight to Sophia's place. I stayed there for a few days. Thomas did not call me. He did not ask where I went. He did not ask if I was okay. On the fourth day, he sent me a short text message. It said, "Are you coming back?" I did not reply. I did not know what to say. Sophia said, "You do not have to go back if it hurts you. I nodded. I knew she was right, but it was so hard to accept. I had married again. I had tried again. And now I had to leave again. It felt like I had failed 2 times. But deep in my heart, a new feeling started. I knew this was not failure. This was my truth. This was me learning about life and love. This was me choosing peace for myself. And peace, I understood, is not failure. Peace is a strong love for myself. I sat on Sophia's soft sofa. I looked out the window. I watched the trees move gently in the wind. I took a deep, slow breath. I closed my eyes. I told myself, "You will be okay, Isabelle." Thomas never called me again after that day. Not even once. He never called to ask why I left. That silence told me everything I needed to know. He was never truly with me, just like Daniel. 2 men, 2 chances, 2 times I gave my whole heart, but no one held it with real care. Now I am still with Sophia, and I am thinking carefully about my next steps. I do not want to rush into anything new or unknown. I do not want to marry again right now. I just want time. Time to heal my heart. Time to grow stronger. Time to truly find myself again. Maybe one day, far in the future, I will love again. But for now, I just want to feel free. I want to wake up in a place where I feel truly safe, where I can smile for real, not just for others, where I can speak my thoughts and be heard, where love is not just a word, but a warm, living feeling. I married twice, but I am still learning to stop the pain. I want to find true peace, and this time I will look for it inside myself. I stayed with Sophia for some more time. Her home was small and simple, but it felt warm and safe. We talked each night for a long time. We ate simple, good food. We watched old shows on TV and laughed out loud. I had not laughed like that, with such joy in a very long time. Sophia never told me what I should do. She only said, "Take all the time you need, Isabelle." I was so very thankful for her. She was the only person who truly saw me, truly understood my pain. She listened to my heart. One morning, I woke up feeling a calm I had not known before. I looked out the window. It was raining gently. The sky was gray, but I felt a quiet peace inside me. I sat with my hot tea and thought deeply about my life. I thought about both my marriages and all the years I had lived. And I asked myself, why did I stay so long in those unhappy places? I stayed because I was scared to be alone. I stayed because I hoped, always hoped, that things would get better. I stayed because I used to think that real love must always hurt, that it must be difficult. But now I know better. Real love, true love, should not feel like that. It should not feel like a constant pain. After some days of quiet thought, I told Sophia I wanted to look for my own place again. She smiled a big, happy smile and said, "I will help you, Isabelle." We spent 2 weeks looking for a new home. Then we found a small flat. It had 1 bedroom, a cozy kitchen, and a little balcony where I could see the sky. It was simple, but I liked it very much. I moved in with just a few of my favorite things. I placed my special cup near the window. I put a soft blanket on the chair. I made the bed with clean white sheets, making a fresh start. That night, I sat on my new balcony. I looked up at the stars shining in the dark sky. I felt such deep peace. No one was shouting. No one walked away from me. No one made me feel like I was too much. It was quiet, yes, but this quiet was not the cold kind I knew from before. It was the soft kind, the safe kind of quiet. I made new plans for my days. I went for long walks in the morning, feeling the cool air. I bought fresh fruit from the market, bright and colorful. I sat in the park and watched the trees move in the wind, feeling their strength. I started reading books again, losing myself in stories. And slowly, gently, I started smiling more, truly smiling. Sometimes the old pain came back to visit. It came like a soft wind, a light sadness. It touched my heart for a moment, but I did not fight it. I did not push it away. I sat with it. I let it pass like a cloud in the sky. I told myself, "You are a part of me, this feeling, but you do not control me now." One day, I met an older woman in the park. She was sitting on the bench right beside mine. We both looked at the beautiful flowers in front of us. She smiled at me and said, "They grow slowly, these flowers, but they always bloom." I smiled back at her. I said, "Yes, they just need care and time." She nodded wisely and said, "Just like people, my dear." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, just watching the park. Then she asked, "Do you live near here?" I said, "Yes, just 2 streets from here." She told me, "I come here often. I lost my husband last year." I looked at her with understanding and said, "I lost too, but in a different way." She gently touched my hand. "You are still very young," she said. "You will grow strong again, stronger than before." Her words felt soft, but they stayed with me. I thought of them that night. I whispered them to myself before I went to sleep. Some days later, Thomas sent me a text message. He said, "Are you okay?" I looked at the words on my phone screen. I did not feel sad. I did not feel angry. I just felt nothing. I did not reply to his message. I did not want to open that door again, not even a little bit. That night, I thought about how far I had come in my journey. I had cried so many tears. I had begged for love that was never truly there. I had waited in long, silent evenings. Now I was alone. But I was not broken. I was still healing, yes, but I was no longer lost in the dark. One afternoon, I saw a woman in the store. She looked at me and said, "Isabelle." I said, "Yes." She said, "It's me, Grace. We went to school together, remember?" I smiled wide. I remembered her happy face from school days. We talked for a few minutes right there in the store. She said, "I live nearby now. We should meet again soon." I said, "Yes, let's do that." The very next week, we met at a small cafe near my street. We talked for hours about our school days, about our lives after, and about love. She said, "I got divorced last year." I said, "I did too, Grace. Twice." We both laughed then. Not because our pain was funny, but because it felt so good to speak the truth, to be understood. She said, "It's not easy, is it?" I said, "No, it's not easy at all." But we both smiled. We truly understood each other's journeys. After that first meeting, we met every week. We walked in the park together. We talked for hours and hours. She said, "I thought I was the only one who went through this." I said, "Me too, Grace, but we are not alone." There were others like us, women who tried so hard, women who gave their all, women who hoped for true love. We just never talked about it openly before. But now we did, and talking helped, listening helped. Being seen and understood truly helped my heart. One evening, I sat on my balcony again, just as the sun was setting. I looked at the quiet street below me. I saw a little boy ride his bike, trying hard. His father ran happily behind him, clapping his hands and cheering. I smiled a real, soft smile. I did not feel sad. I just felt peace, a warm, calm feeling inside me. I did not know what would come next in my life story, but I was okay with that. I was not waiting for a man to complete me. I was not waiting for love to arrive from outside. I was learning to love myself first. That, for now, was enough. It was more than enough. One morning, I looked in the mirror again at my own face. My eyes looked soft and clear. My face looked strong, showing the new strength I had found. I said to myself, "You are still healing, Isabelle, but you are not weak. You are not broken anymore." I married twice. I gave my heart twice. I lost myself twice in those journeys. But now I am coming back to me, slowly, gently, and fully. And this time, I promise myself, I will not lose myself again. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.